Cowboy Bebop is a 1998 anime television series directed by Shinichiro Watanabe. Set in the year 2071, we follow three bounty hunters, Spike Spiegel, Faye Valentine, and Jet Black, on the ship Bebop as they cruise around the solar system looking for the next quick buck. Nearly flopping in Japan, but finding its groove in America, Bebop is a landmark classic, influencing many a sci-fi piece since. What's most remarkable about the series is when you peel back the layers of space battles, shootouts, and fistfights. Bebop is incredibly layered, with wonderfully fleshed out characters and impressively complex themes. One of these themes is the past and how the characters attempt to deal with theirs. The world of Bebop is one that is highly accessible to the audience, but alienating to its own characters. As bounty hunters, they spend most of their time in orbit, left with only each other for company.
Space Travel Log 0968. Empty time. It sounds good to call bounty hunting freelance work, but all that really means is that we're self-employed. So when there's no one to hunt, we have nothing. Nothing to do, nothing to live on.
Of course, when the only people around you are carrying a mountain of baggage, as well as yourself, it doesn't always lead to good behavior patterns. One of these behaviors we see most commonly in the characters is what philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre called bad faith. In his book Being in Nothingness, Sartre describes two concepts of our being in itself and being for itself. Essentially, being in itself is the traits we present to the world, or what he calls facticity, and being for itself is the choices we make. Sartre believed that as humans we always have free choice in any situation, whether we like it or not. In his own words, man is condemned to be free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. Bad faith is when a person denies this freedom of choice, usually out of the fear of this freedom, but under the excuse of their facticity. This leads to people living inauthentic lives where they have essentially forced themselves to be unhappy in comparison to those who accept the responsibility of their choices and live more sincere lives. We see this behavior in all of the three main characters of Cowboy Bebop manifesting in different ways. Jet Black is a man who is defined by being a man. He is a textbook example of toxic masculinity. His character fills the role of gruff ex-cop so perfectly it borders on stereotypical. He often comes off as misogynistic, particularly in his interactions with Faye, but you can sense a deeper insecurity beneath it all.
So the bottom line is Giraffe was killed off over some internal politics.
Betrayal may come easily to women, but men live by iron codes of honor.
You believe that?
I'm trying to, real hard.
Jet's girlfriend Alicia left him suddenly 3 years previously, and it's something Jet never really got over or understood. But when they meet up again, in the episode Ganymede Elegy, her reasons are explained.
That's just how you were back then. You decided everything. In the end, you were always right. When I was there with you, I never had to do anything for myself. All I had to do was to hang on to your arm like a child without a care in the world. I wanted to live my own life, make my own decisions, even if they were terrible mistakes.
Alicia was able to break her bad faith and live a fuller life. Even after this revelation, Jet seems unable to change. He is so wrapped up in what he believes being a man is, he fails to make real connections with those around him. The sad thing is, he sees this failure to make a connection, but can't see why.
I wonder what you'd call this kind of relationship. It's not like we have any camaraderie. There isn't really a bond here at all. Everyone just does what they want to do. They come back whenever they feel like it, and then they take off again. I've been tossed around so much I just had enough. Yeah, I was better off as a solo act.
Jet is desperately reaching out for a friend, a comrade, especially after his old partner Fad is revealed to have betrayed him later in the series. But because he can't get past his perceptions of the kind of man he has to be, he fails to make a meaningful connection with anyone. Faye Valentine is a woman out of time. Having barely survived an accident 60 years prior, she was cryogenically frozen and thawed when she could be healed. Left with no memory and a massive debt on her back, Faye seems to have invented a persona for herself, taking advantage of the male gaze and using it to feed her gambling habit. Faye falls into a particular type of bad faith as posited by Simone de Beauvoir in The Second Sex. Faye is the narcissist, a woman who denies her freedom from men by making herself into a desirable object. De Beauvoir believes this comes from women feeling trapped in their lives. She says ineffective, isolated woman can neither find her place nor take her own measure. She gives herself supreme importance because no object of importance is accessible to her. Despite Faye acting like she is perfectly content with herself as she is, it is a lie, and a plainly obvious one at that.
You came to such a slummy neighborhood alone?
I am alone. I don't need any comrades. They're not worth it. I end up worrying about things I shouldn't. You know, me being such a prize and all that. All the guys end up fighting over me like dogs. They say humans are social animals. They can't live alone. But you can live pretty well by yourself. I tell you, instead of feeling alone in a group, it's better to have real solitude all by yourself. When I'm dealing with them, I swear it's nothing but trouble. And I get nothing out of it. So it doesn't matter if I'm there or not, right?
You were just afraid they'd abandon you. So you abandoned them. You distanced yourself from the whole thing.
It's in the episodes where we deal with Faye's past directly that the real Faye comes through, and we see how much she's really hurting and how much she craves what she lost.
My memory finally came back. But nothing good came of it. There was no place for me to return to. This was the only place I could go. And now you're leaving, just like that.
Faye is so desperate to find herself in others, she is unable to escape the cycle of bad faith and is left once again by a man, crying and alone. Spike Spiegel is a resident cool guy with a dark past on the ship. Having abandoned his life as a hitman for a Martian crime syndicate, Spike appears to drift through life without any real connection, not caring if he lives or dies. This is because of the betrayal and loss of Julia, his former lover.
Turn back. When you and I first met, you told me something. You said that you had died once, that you had seen death. Why can't you just let it go? Forget the past.
There was a woman. First time I found someone that was truly alive. At least that's what I thought. She was the part of me I'd lost somewhere along the way. The part that was missing, that I'd been longing for.
He allows this woman to become part of himself, so much so she becomes part of his facticity. So when she leaves, he's even more hollow than when he started. That's why whenever he hears something about the syndicate, or even just her name, he chases it desperately.
Is there anything else to do right now?
Ah, success!
Is it her?
Who could this be? Let's see. Codename Julia!
Where's that coming from?
Let's see. It's pretty close. Looks like the blue crow on Callisto.
Who's receiving it?
I got cut off.
Hey, wait!
However, when he does find her, we can see that it rings hollow. That space within himself can no longer be filled by her, but he stays anyway, feeling obligated. When Julia dies, though, a sort of freedom comes with that pain, the freedom to choose. Spike could still run, or he can stand and fight back against his past, represented by Vicious, his old partner. Finally waking from his dream of a life and acting of his own free will, he resolves to finish what he started.
Why do you have to go? Where are you going? What are you going to do? Just throw your life away like it was nothing?
I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really alive. I have to do it, Faye.
The end of the series is shrouded in uncertainty. We never find out if Spike found his answers or if he even survives the final battle. But as we pull out into an endless blue sky, we get the sense he has found a form of peace, whatever that is. As stated before, the world of Bebop is one that is easy for the audience to get into. The technology is advanced, but not so much so that it's unrecognizable. Society has spread across the solar system, but remains similar to our world today. Therefore, the characters feel the same kind of alienation as we do, perhaps on an even grander scale. We currently live in a world of 7 billion people. It is so easy to feel small and deeply insignificant, and so easy to lose yourself. Now size up that population to take up 7 planets and hundreds of moons. When you're trying to find yourself in that big of a crowd, it's easy to believe that your choices don't matter and to give them up entirely. We can see how society moved to that point and how we're still moving to it today.